You are Black in the Green Room with me, your host, Keith Underwood, and this is your spot for real talk about entertainment with entertainers, creatives, and showbiz professionals. My guest today is an actor who you know from shows like All American and then the upcoming The Vince Staples Show. He's also going to be one of the ambassadors at the Pan African Film Festival. Give it up and welcome to the room, Kareem Grimes. Kareem, how you doing, man?
I'm good, my brother. How you doing?
Man, I have no complaints at all. Thank you very much. So,
Absolutely.
so you're from LA.
Born and raised Inglewood, California, 99th and Crenshaw to be exact. So
Okay.
I am homegrown, homegrown.
Right. So what was it like, I'm a boy from the hood too.
Yep.
And so what was it like growing up in LA and with Hollywood being so close?
I mean, really it was my mom's friends, they were in the business. So I was able to get a little taste of Hollywood at an early age, to be around these stars. So for me, it was just kind of like an everyday thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
You go up on Hollywood Boulevard. You're seeing the sign. You're seeing the Walk of Fame, the whole nine. So for me, growing up, it was kind of like the norm. You
Yeah,
know?
man. It's funny that you say that because I have that same memory, especially driving up Crenshaw. And then
Yeah.
when you got to about the 10 freeway, if you had
Yeah.
good eyes,
Yeah.
you could see the Hollywood
That was
sign. And
fine.
so
Absolutely.
it was always in reach. So
Yeah.
like we were saying, like that's inspiration.
Yes.
What was some other inspiration, for you during that time period?
I actually had a couple of friends who were already in the business, at a young age. My friend Marlon Taylor, he was on the scene. My boy Benji. These are friends of mine that I played sports with, but were also, in the business before I was. So to go to their house, see them studying for auditions, I was just like, okay, all right, this is something that I can do. And then as a young kid, watching TV shows, Three's Company and Flip Wilson and I'm showing my age when I say when I say Flip
It's
Wilson.
all
A lot
good,
of people
man.
don't know.
Because it ain't showing. It ain't showing. So if it's not
Exactly,
showing, it
exactly.
doesn't matter. So
Yeah. So these shows I watched as a young kid, and I would imagine myself in these roles, watching it, and with family coming over, being the entertainment. That kind of helped because that kind of boosted my ego because they would laugh and tell me to go on, Kareem, you can do it, you can do it. So that kind of really gave me the confidence to say, you know what, I think I can do this. And my mom and my family, they nurtured that. They
mhm.
didn't um tell me no, you can't do it, or no, they nurtured it, and got me in an acting class. And first acting class was Marla Gibbs. Marla's Crossroads, her and
Right.
Angela, her
Over on
daughter,
Crenshaw.
over on Crenshaw, exactly
By
across
the
the street
post
from the,
office.
yep, across the
Yeah.
street from the Angela's funeral. So
Yes.
that was my first acting class. And lo and behold, my first acting teacher was Whitman Mayo, who played Grady on Sanford and Son, and
Right.
Ed Cambridge. So these are the shoulders that I stand on, and this
Mm.
is my first introduction, to acting.
Right. And what was it like to be around all of these icons? I know you said you had some that were family friends,
Hmm.
but then
Hmm.
to even extend that circle to even more, what
Yeah.
was that like growing up in that atmosphere?
For me, you see Marla Gibbs on the Jeffersons and 227, and you're walking into her office and you're seeing her in person, every day you're coming in there, you're like, man, I cannot believe this. So for me, it was a surreal moment. It was a surreal moment as a young kid, to see this great woman, this icon, letting me know and teaching me. So
Yes.
that does something to a young kid. For me, it definitely was like, hey, it's possible. you can do this. And each and every day, I cherished it. I definitely cherished it. And I think being in that acting class has helped me grow as a young man, because it allowed me to be able to be vulnerable, to be
Mm,
able to express myself, to, if I was feeling hurt, to be able to cry and not feel ashamed about it. So in that class, I learned all the disciplines from stage combat to dancing, and to singing, and I was taught by Lady Walker, which is Ben Vereen's sister, who
right.
also trained with Catherine Dunham.
Yes.
So I was able to, learn the Catherine Dunham technique, so get my first and second and third position, so
Right. Right.
this is adding on to, my repertoire as an actor, that I later use as I grow into this business.
That's, some people would think of you as a new face, right?
Right,
But
right,
you've been in the game for a minute.
yeah.
How does that make you feel when you hear people think of you as like, oh, this brother came on the scene and he's doing it, and they don't understand the work that you've put
Yeah.
in?
For me, it's that, but that's Hollywood. Hollywood has a short-term memory.
Mm,
So I feel that you're constantly having to, reintroduce yourself, improve yourself. And I never really worried about that, because it was my journey, and I know where I was heading. And for me, it was all about the work that I've done. So it's just like, if you think I'm a newcomer, all you gotta do is just Google Kareem Grimes, and you'll see, what I've done in the past, and then that'll kind of catch you up to speed. But I never really concerned myself with that, and I just kind of let the work speak for itself. And through the years, my family and friends know, so I think that for me, that was most important to me, as far as building my career.
right. And what does it feel like now to have more prominence
Mhm.
within the acting space now at this time in your life?
It feels good. It just the hard work, the dedication, the consistency, the long nights, the sacrifices. It's amazing. I was just talking to a group of people last night, and just letting them know it's about the journey, but also knowing that I truly believed in myself, and I knew this moment was going to happen. I didn't know when, but I knew it was going to happen. So it was just about me staying ready. Probably within the last 3 years, All American has definitely changed my life. And
Right.
like you said, it has given me the credibility as an actor, but also the recognition that I get it on an everyday basis from Latinos, Asians, black people, white people, what I mean. And it's just truly a blessing to know each and every day that I'm constantly reminded that people really enjoy the show, but most importantly, people love my character, and they
Yeah,
relate to my character.
yeah, man, and I can be a witness to
Mhm.
that. I was in Trader Joe's one
Mhm.
day at Fox Hills Mall, and for those of you from
Yeah,
LA, you
yeah,
know what Fox Hills Mall is.
exactly, exactly.
And brother, you were in line and people were coming up to you and
Yeah.
you were so humble and engaging and appreciative.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's part of what we signed up for. You know what I
Right.
mean? And for anybody to be able to take an hour out of their time to watch, to allow us to be in their homes. I can, I think it's my duty that I can be able to give a few minutes to say thank you.
That's right.
Because without them, there is no preach, there is no show that goes on for now. We're going into our sixth season,
Right.
so it's just I have to, I
Right.
wouldn't feel good in my spirit if I didn't.
Yeah. And like other Crossroads kids, which,
Hmm.
I was one as well. And when
Okay.
they had that announcement up, I think it was in the foyer
Yeah.
for Boys in the Hood,
Hmm.
I auditioned. And
Mm.
John Singleton, he said, man, you did a good job, but You too pretty for this.
That sounds like John. That sounds like John.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So, no harm, no foul.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
all are where we are now. And of course,
absolutely.
still being in the neighborhood in Baldwin Hills,
Yes.
used to also still, run into him every now
Mhm,
and then. What was that like being a part of in the moment? Did you
mhm.
realize it was going to be something iconic? Or was it just like after the fact that you're like, wow, I did that?
Um, no, I was 12, 13 years old. My mom's friend was in the business. At that time, I was really heavy into skateboarding. They were looking for some young black kids who can skateboard. Voila, I fall in place. But I do remember my mom telling me, "Yes, this young brother who graduated from USC. He wrote the screenplay." And at that time, I was just happy to be out of school and be on set.
Hmm.
So we're like 2 weeks into filming, and through it all, I'm looking at Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne and Ice Cube, and I'm just like, okay, all right, but still, it didn't hit me. And we're on a break, and if you notice, there's about 5 or 6 other kids who were background actors, and we're just throwing the ball around, and John comes over, and he's talking to each and every one of us. And he comes over to me and was like, hey man, I want to give you a couple of lines to say. Will you be cool with that? And I was just like, absolutely. And that was really the start. That was the spark. He saw something in me, and gave me the opportunity. There were 5 other kids there, that he could have easily given them lines. But he saw something in me, and I think that was just divine timing, and God's blessing. And from that point on, man, that was the spark that I needed. And from that point on, I was able to get into the union, and go from there, man. And I just remember going back to school and telling my friends that I was in this movie. But back in the day, they like, man, you ain't in
Yeah,
no
ain't no
movie.
movie.
Stop lying, man. So we didn't have social media, or we didn't have anything instantly to show. Look, I'm on set until the movie releases, and my friends see it, and they're like, man, you weren't lying. You are in the movie,
Right.
So, and then from that point on, of course, you sticking your chest out a little bit, say, see, I told you, and
Right.
seeing how well received this film was taken in, and in the moment, you're like, okay, wow, I'm a part of cinematic history.
Hmm.
And to me, that right there is a blessing, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, and kind of growing up in the business as we were talking
Mhm.
about before and having all of these influences around you, did you
Yeah.
ever want to venture or did you venture off into some of your other interests as well?
For me, it was acting. Of course, I play sports, football, baseball, basketball, all at Rancho Park and Jim Gillian. So it was sports and acting. That
Hmm.
was it. And until I started to get more work as an actor, I started to kind of let those things, go, because my main focus was acting. That's just what I wanted to do, ever since I was a young kid, and I didn't take any breaks. I didn't take any breaks at all. Matter of fact, I stayed I stayed in Los Angeles to pursue my career. And what I mean by that is that I was going to go to college, to Tuskegee, but I
Mm.
didn't. I ended up staying and going to Cal State LA, because I just wanted to be home to work on my craft and pursue my dreams.
Yeah. Man, so what were some of the other projects that you did between Boys in the Hood and All American?
Oh yeah, there was a show called True Colors.
Yeah.
That was on Fox, about the
Yeah.
interracial family.
Yeah. Jada
Um,
Pinkett was on that as well.
yeah, so that I'm trying to think, man. It's so funny. It's like sometimes I have to look on my IMDb and say, "Oh yeah, I did that. I did that. I did that."
Right.
Um, Reality Bites with Ben Stiller. Um, what else? A lot of TV. ER. I think I have appeared on pretty much every major network, from Fox to CBS to NBC. So yeah, ER, CSI, NCIS, just to name a few.
Yeah.
SWAT as well. Yeah.
All right. And what was that's the new SWAT, correct? With
Yes. Yes.
Shamar Moore.
More. Yes. Yes.
What's the role that you play on SWAT?
I play a character named Little Red, who is kind of Shamar Moore's, ear to the streets.
Right, right, right.
Kind of like the modern day Huggy Bear.
Right, 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 right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I was definitely his ear to the streets, and I went on there just to do a guest star, and just doing the work. They brought me back for 2 more seasons.
Yeah, and Kareem, help me out with this. There was another show that you recently did. Was it? I can't remember the name of it. It was set in South Central. You played a businessman, and it was about relationships.
Oh, For the Love of Jason on All Black.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
yes, man.
yeah.
How did it, I really felt that when I saw you in that project, that it kind of
Mhm.
took you out of a mold,
Yes.
and took you into a new space. Would you
Yeah.
agree? And how did that feel for you?
Absolutely, yeah. And at that time, I was doing All American as well, so I was shooting both of those shows. And For the Love of Jason, who was created by Trail Woodbury, it was definitely a character that I love because it definitely took me out of this role of Preach, who was kind of like this street guy. He was definitely smart, but he definitely had his side to where now I'm married. I'm a principal, and dealing with my own stuff as a newlywed, and with a non-woman, a woman who is non-black, so you're dealing with the interracial relationship, being married, and navigating being a principal. It was a challenge to take on that role just to show people the range that I had. And also too, it was funny. I
Hmm.
was kind of like the comic relief in there. So I had a good time. Trell Woodbury is an amazing talent. And we thought that we had one of the best shows on All Black.
That show
Um,
was good, man. That
yeah,
show was
yeah,
very, very good.
yeah.
I agree
So
with you.
yeah, so we were kind of disappointed a little bit when it wasn't renewed, but I think Trail owns his IP, so he's gonna take that show somewhere else. So hopefully we can get it on another network and continue that run with that show.
Yeah, praying for you guys, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
With All American,
Mhm.
with Preach, talk to I was thinking back when you were talking about Boys in the Hood and how
Yeah.
John gave you some lines. So
Mhm.
talk to me about the evolution of Preach. Was he intended to be where he is now on the show, or was he supposed to stay in a box, be killed?
Mhm.
How
Yeah.
has the evolution of the character?
Um, Preach was only supposed to do 2 episodes, and the last episode he gets shot, so he was
Hmm.
supposed to die. But there's a story behind that. So the showrunner in Koro, we met probably 10 years prior to me being on the show.
Hmm.
I did a show called Bones. See, they're starting to come to me right now. I did a show called Bones on Fox, and that was her first script that she wrote for television. And I worked on that show for about a month, which was unusual because, for a guest star, you're working maybe a few days. But at that time, it was flu season, so people kept getting sick, so they had to prolong the shoot. That was probably the most money that I made on a show.
Hmm.
So now we fast forward. We fast forward. She's the showrunner for All American. And then there's another writer by the name of Jamie Turner. I met Jamie Turner about 11, 12 years prior. He was a story editor on The Shield, which I did three or four seasons on. And we became really good friends. Now he's also one of the head writers on All American.
Mm-hmm.
So now I find myself on the show. Big shout out to Leah Daniels Butler who cast for it. And my character was only supposed to do 2 episodes. This guy by the name of John A. Norris, who wrote that particular episode that I was doing, and Sally Richardson was directing it.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Sally Richardson. Do I need to say any more?
No, man, no. I'm a huge admirer of her and her
Absolutely.
work. Yes.
Absolutely. So I'm on set and I'm doing the work, and John A. Norris texts NK and said, Kareem is doing an amazing job. And I think at that particular scene, I didn't have any lines. It was just more of eyes. And he
Mm.
was like, this dude, without dialogue, he's doing his thing. And so we go into the next episode, and I read the script, and it says Preach gets shot.
Mm.
And this usually doesn't happen, but because of the relationship that I had with NK, she called me and would say, "Hey, I don't know if you got the script yet, but you do get shot. You're not gonna die because we plan on keeping you on this show for a while."
Nice.
And to hear those words, as an actor, you're just like, okay, I have another opportunity for more work.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are 6 seasons later. Preach is now a teacher.
Right.
You see the evolution of him getting out of the streets, managing Coop, also helping her pass her GED. Then, he finds out he has a daughter, that conflict. Now he's fighting to get custody of his daughter. So now you're seeing this black man fight to get his
Right.
wanting to be a father, wanting to be in her life. Then him getting this job as a teacher. And now, he's becoming a mentor to these kids, but also to, the regulars who are on the show, the Spencers and these guys. So, you definitely see an evolution of this character. And I remember NK letting me know probably around season 3 or 4, she was like, "Hey, this is what we're going to do with Preach." That storyline is real. There's a young brother, I want to say out of St. Louis, who did some time in jail,
Mm.
uh, got his degree, became a teacher, and became Teacher of the Year.
Wow. That's pretty
So that
amazing.
storyline is what and who Preach is.
Yeah. Man, those relationships,
Yeah.
how important are they to the success of a career in Hollywood?
That's what it's about. I feel that's 100% of it. I don't think anybody wants to work with somebody that shows up late, that doesn't know their
Mm.
lines. But the one thing that I've mastered is just about being nice. And
Mm-hmm.
that's being nice to people above the line and below the line. It doesn't
That's
matter if
right.
you're a PA or whatever, because you never know what that PA is going to be in the next couple of years or next year.
And it happens so fast. Either way. Either way.
Either
Yeah.
way. So, for me, it's just about being nice, but also to recognizing and understanding that I'm blessed to be in this position to be an actor, and I don't take it for granted. I'm truly appreciative of everything that I get. I'm not gonna abuse it, but definitely know and show the respect that it deserves.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy to be able to do what I love.
Yeah. Man, I was reading through your bio, and one of the things that really stuck out to me more than your credits was the whole thing about reaching back.
Yeah. Yes.
Reaching back and pulling, others up. Why is that so important to you?
Because it shaped me to the person that I am today. People reaching back, the John Singletons, the the Marla Gibbs and Angela Gibbs, learning that at a young age, that stuck with me,
Hmm.
and knowing that, hey, you have to pay it forward. So that's how I live my life, is to be able to pay it forward if I'm in a position, to always share the knowledge.
Hmm.
Each one teach one. And I think that's the beauty and the blessing of why we are put here on this earth, is
Hmm.
that we do have to give back, and be able to share that information. And it helps the next person, and then that person is being able to help that next person. So it's a chain,
Yeah.
and that's just how I live my life. It's
Yeah.
very, very important to be able to give the knowledge.
Right. And, we don't live in a monolithic, society. We all
Right.
have to survive with, other races and different types of people. But I want to say this, that with distribution
Mm-hmm.
and production, do you feel that there's an importance in us, Black folks, having more of a hand in creating, our projects and in the distribution of those projects and having outlets for those projects?
Absolutely. I think, when I first came into the business, there wasn't a lot of us in those rooms. There wasn't a lot of us behind those rooms or in these positions of power. But you've seen, slow progress. We have the Issa Rays, we have the Charles Kings, we have the Macros, we have the Owns, we have the Oprahs and the Avas, so that just goes to show you that, hey, we're making progress, and that, as long as we continue to support these people, we will have these things, as like you said, the distribution and the stories that are being told from our perspectives. And the Tyler Perrys, that
Yes,
right there is this man has the largest studio in Hollywood, but he's in Atlanta.
that's right. That's right.
So we that is just a true testament of it's possible. We just have to, support each other. And it's just, we have to support the good stuff, because there's so much bad. We just
Hmm.
have to make sure we're supporting the good stuff.
Yeah, and how does that reflect on the young people that that you're helping to mentor or pull up? What lessons are you trying to instill in them to be not only better for themselves but also for others?
Absolutely. I think it's very important to see, it's important for representation, to be able to look and say, oh, okay, all right, there's somebody that looks just like me, that's doing it, that's
Mhm.
striving, that's successful, and I think once you have that image, then it does something to someone. I know you can sit down and remember, watching TV and seeing Shaft and saying, wow, this brother here is in control. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And it just does something to you. And I think that's what we need, is more representation for these young people to see, like, yes, it's possible. I can do this. He came from the same neighborhood as me. You know, I can do it too. And I think that's what I try to stress to them, as much as possible. That's why I love, speaking to the youth and going to the schools and the colleges and say, hey, listen, I'm from Inglewood, California. I made it. You can too. I
That's
wasn't an
right.
A+ student, but I was a good student, and hey, if you apply yourself, you can be where I'm at as well.
Yeah. And speaking of mentoring, talk to me a
Mhm.
little bit about your new role on your new Netflix show.
Yes. So the Vince Staples show. I play Uncle Mike. This is going to show another range of who I am as an actor, strictly comedy. And Uncle Mike is that uncle that everybody has, that he has a great business plan but no follow through.
Mm, yeah.
And he knows
Yeah.
that
We all have one of
we all
those.
have one. We all have
Yeah.
one. Hey, listen, what you want to do is, I got this script idea. Now, if you can go on and go to Tyler Perry, you be like, everybody think everybody, we had access to Tyler Perry just like that. And that's not true.
What's up, Tyler? How you doing?
Exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna call Tyler right now and just let him know this idea that you gave me. But yeah, Uncle Mike is he has all these ideas but no follow through. He knows that Vince Staples, his nephew, is this rapper. So he's trying to ride the coattails of his nephew,
Mm-hmm.
get these business ventures off, which never followed through. So it's the dynamic between the uncle and Vince Staple. And in this season, we kind of meet up at the family reunion in the park, and of course, that's the time when you can go on and hit up your nephew and let him know what you got going on. But
Right, right.
I'm super excited to be a part of this. You got Kenya Barris, who's executive producing it. You also have Vince Staples, who's also one of the executive producers, man. And you got Netflix behind this, man. And what more can I say? Netflix is within itself is big,
Yeah.
and to be able to have a show of this magnitude and from this young brother who has an amazing following, but who's also an amazing artist. I can't wait for people to see this, man, and I think it's gonna do very well.
Yeah. Are you gonna spit any bars in it?
No bars for me, man. No, 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 sir. No, sir. No, no. Listen, I know my calling.
Right. What's within your wheelhouse?
I know what's in my wheelhouse. I tell people I can sing good when the music's up in the car.
Wait a minute. Or when the shower's going in the background.
Exactly,
Right, right,
exactly,
right, right. And those
exactly.
acoustics in the bathroom.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Just turn the music up just a little bit, and then I can be able to sing my song.
All right, man. So talk to me about the Pan African Film Festival and what it is and how you got involved with it.
Yes. Jay Tasha Siri reached out to me. She's on the committee, and she was just like, "Hey, man, would you love to be an ambassador for the Pan African Film Festival?" And growing up in Baldwin Hills as well, I
Mm.
attended the Pan African Film Festival year after year after year, and to now have this opportunity to be an ambassador is this it's one for the books. It's a blessing, to now be truly a part of it and
Mm.
one of the faces of it. And I'm super excited. And I can't wait. I can't wait for it to open up February 6th.
Yeah. What does it mean, for you personally to be within that environment and being a part of the Pan African Film Festival?
Everything. I think it encompasses, who I am, being a young man, you know, from here
Hmm.
and being in the business. It's and then also standing, like I said before, standing on the shoulders of, Marla Gibbs
Hmm.
and John Singleton, two iconic figures who have put so much into this business, and to be a representation of them and to let people know, if it wasn't for the Marla Gibbs and if it wasn't for the John Singletons, and their contribution, I wouldn't be here today. And just to let you guys know that, they have paved the way for filmmakers, to be able to come in and showcase their films. And this is the perfect venue and the perfect setting for them to be able to do that. And just to be able to experience and also uplift each other in this business as well.
Yeah, let's dwell there for a minute, man.
Mhm.
Within the independent space. I mean, even when it comes to, streaming, why is that especially important to Black folks, the independent space?
Yeah, I think it's very important. It allows us to, what we talked about earlier, is to tell our stories. But not only that, is to be able to get those stories out, to have a space and a place for people to be able to see themselves in the representation. Everybody has a cell phone, and everybody is on some type of app. And for that, it allows independent filmmakers to have a platform to display their art and their talent. And all we have to do is just pick up our phone, go into that app, and be able to watch. So it's very, very important that that we have these film festivals. But it's also very important that we're also getting our stories out there as well.
Yeah. How would Kareem Grimes like to explore that independent space more?
Um, that's a good question. I think with today's society, we have YouTube, you have Instagram, to where you're able to put 1 minute, whether it's a monologue, whether you can literally shoot something in 1 minute and literally get it out into the world within seconds. And
Right.
then that can then be shared to everybody. It can then be shared to somebody who is, a producer or, a network head. They are able to see that, then get in contact with you and say, hey, we love what you shot. We love your content. Let's go on and take this a little bit further. So the mediums and the platforms are wide open right now for independent artists. You have people who've shot movies on cell phones,
That's right.
and they have been able to get it out direct to consumer, the people that follow them instantly. So being an independent filmmaker now, there's no excuse for you not to be able to distribute or get your product out there into the world.
Mm-hmm. What?
And for me right now, I'm working on a project that I've been working on it for about a year,
Mm-hmm.
uh, a TV show, and we're almost at the finish line right now. And we're going to shop this show and get it on a network or a streaming service.
What can you share about the show? You knew
Um,
you knew that was coming.
yeah, I knew. It's kind of like an Entourage
Mhm.
meets Atlanta.
Okay.
It's based in Los Angeles, California.
All right. I'm here for
And
that.
yeah, so that's what I can give you right now. And it's four characters, but we're all connected
Mhm.
to each other, and I'm super excited. I can't wait for people to see this.
Yeah. What would you like to do next in your career, Kareem, that you see that just really would expand you as an artist?
I think the natural progression, is just to start directing,
Mhm.
um, but also to continue with my career, to show the range that I have, for people to truly see the talent that I do possess. And yeah, the natural progression is to definitely direct, and produce more. That is the goal.
All right. Kareem, where can everybody find you on social media?
Kareem Grimes on Instagram, on X, Twitter, and definitely TikTok. So yeah, that's where you can find me, Kareem Grimes, everywhere.
All right. Kareem Grimes, thank you so much for joining me in the room, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Keith Underwood. And I'm black in Hollywood.
That's right, man. That's right.
Be sure to follow me, Keith Underwood, at Mr. Keith L. Underwood on IG. You can also follow me on FB at Keith L. Underwood. And you gotta follow Black in the Green Room at Black in the Green Room across all platforms. Until next time, this has been Black in the Green Room.